Was I right? It's Rutger Hauer, right?
Yeah, someone said it was Hauer. It's fucking Rutger Hauer.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
Observer, mate.
Observer! I picked this up this morning because it looks really good.
I didn't even know nothing about it until
Neither
you said,
did I.
I'm going to play this,
In
and you're
fact,
excited to play it.
We set out for an old school game. Nothing had really come out that was blowing our minds, so I was going to play some Metal Gear Solid, and then I went, wait a minute, what is that? And it tickled all my taste buds. So what we've got here is Blade Runner style theme, got Rutger Hauer in it, does the voice acting. Tears in Rain, bro. Tears in Rain, the best soliloquy of all time. With a horror theme, so we're going to be jumping into the Blade Runner cyberpunky world. I'm good. Let's go. I just want to play it now.
Fair enough.
Select character.
Observer, mate. Mike Wazowski, Monsters Inc.
Dan Lazarski, mate, or if you want to be a little bit more accurate, Rutger Hauer, mate.
Rutger Hauer, pal.
Rutger Hauer. I
Bring
didn't
in the
even
pain.
know. I didn't even know. And
I saw the picture on his ID, and it's like, that can't not be Rutger Hauer.
That's what I thought. Like, I picked up this game because it just looked like my jam. And as it's a cyberpunk world, it looks like Blade Runner. And then I saw the idea, and I was like, oh, they've based the main character on Rutger Hauer. And then he started talking. And I was like, that's Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
He's legit. I mean, he's called Dan Lazarski in this one, mate.
Mint.
But it is the Hauer. It is the man himself who's going to be taking us through this one. Now, I've got to say, before you get too excited, it is a bit phoned in. Or maybe he's really old, I don't know. But his personal dialogue is not the best in the game, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
But it is kind of funny because it's still Rutger. And that's okay in my book. If Rutger wants to play off, his dialogue is not the best. It sounds really... Sometimes he takes these pauses.
For like, no reason.
It's really odd. It's like he's just literally gotten the script and they've sat him down and he's like, it's Rutger Hauer, just say the thing, man.
Just do
say
anything
the
you
thing."
want.
Yeah, so let me get into the story of this one. We're in Poland. It's 2084. It's basically exactly Blade Runner. And there's been a big rebel attack against this major corporation. So
Okay.
they're going with that dystopian feel right off the bat. And you were a copper, and it kicks off very nicely, actually. It sits you in a car, and then you get a message from the gaffer, the boss, for those of you of the international world, the gaffer. The captain's like, and the Rutger's like, do you need my help there with this building attack? There's been a bomb that's gone off, and they're like, no, it's fine. And then suddenly, the mystery kicks off, because it is classed as survival horror, this game, but
Really?
it's not a survival horror. I don't think so. There's nothing horrific or gory in it or anything like that. But it's from your son. And the actual story is about this estranged son of Rutger's that you've got to find out what happened to him. You get a location where he was, which is a hotel, which is where the game is based entirely within this hotel apartment, of these apartments. And you head on over, and from there it unfolds as like a murder mystery more than anything. It almost harkens back, and it's like point-and-click adventures.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get to a murder scene, and then you really have to unfold it. We're going from floor to floor in this apartment with some very cool characters, because there's heavily like Deus Ex stuff in there, a lot of augmented people who've been modified in some way. And what you'll get is the classic sort of murder scene, and you get two types of vision. So it uses that idea, where you can swap between like an electromagnetic view or something that's going to show biological things. Yeah. So one thing I have to say that I loved about this is you do have to hunt down the clues, and some of them are in finicky locations, but it tells you when you've done an area.
Yeah.
God, I love that in these games.
That's so good.
It's like, you have found everything in this area. I'm like, oh, thank God for that. Because if I didn't know that, and I don't want to miss out on any story, because I got really immersed in this game.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
Because at the back end of this, there's about 6 different subplots. 4 of them all tied together to the main story. And the best part about this, that I think people will be really into, is the motives of the different people involved in the one crime. Lots of people involved, but they're all involved for very different reasons.
Yeah.
And it all kind of pieces together over the course of the game as, why is there like a really scary murderer involved? Why is this guy involved? And what's his purpose?
Yeah.
Why is there a maniacal doctor? But is he maniacal in fact? And all these things start to come together, and
Everything's not face value.
Nothing's
basically.
face value. Nothing is face value at all. The next element that I think people are really going to get a kick out of is going door to door to question the people who live here.
The personalities.
And the way they do it is they have a video camera on the outside of their door, like Fifth Element.
Yeah.
But it's just an eyeball. a very flickery, weird eyeball.
So it's like them looking through the eye hole of the door.
It's totally based, and again, this is just a Blade Runner type game. They would call it a Blade Runner story if they could.
Are you going to say Void Comp?
It's the Void Conf machine. It's exactly where they've got this idea from. It's the Void Conf machine for Blade Runner, which has the camera on the eye of the subject.
Yeah.
And that's what's being tracked, is their eye and what they're doing while they're telling you the story. And the tenants of the apartments, Andy, are freaks. Mega freaks. Like, there's almost like it kind of feels like, I think most things do now, like a Scientology thing, who are like purists who don't have any implants or anything like that in their body. And there's also things where you wish you could get more involved, because it is an indie game. There's no doubt about that. It's an indie game from a little Polish company. But there's stories like, it sounds like the kids are getting beaten up in one of the rooms. And I kind of wish we could have explored that a little bit more, because although the main overarching stories are really good, and you do get to explore a lot of apartments of people who have undergone weird situations, there were tenants with some dialogue. It was like, I really want to find out what's... Oh, some guy just sounds shady.
Yeah.
Right? He sounds really shady, and he's being very elusive about his answers and things like that. You kind of wish you could go open up, and that might have good or bad representation in the game. You know what I mean? Like almost like a Fallout system, because there is some dialogue trees that you can work through. Right. But I don't think that's fleshed out enough, and that if they ever make a sequel to this, I would love that to be explored, is to also be a cop who's, going to investigate these things, because that was fantastic.
That'd be a really nice, like, side area of the game. I see what you mean there. So, like, kind of... The choices that you make obviously affect the dialogue, but not the overarching story. But if they fleshed it out, as in, like, you could be doing these side quests as just a copper...
Yeah, like to
explore the universe,
good
really.
Bad cop type situation. Like, do you break down doors? If someone vehemently refuses to let you in, do you let it slide, or do you obtain a warrant? Perhaps, look, there's something wrong here. Can we get in?
That'd be awesome.
Or even speaking, because one of the major characters is actually the manager of the apartments,
right?
Who's an old war vet who's like got barely any humanity left in him, and his implants are definitely eroding. And there's subplots that involve his like trying to get this fixed, and he can't. And what other routes he might take to... Because he knows he's breaking down, essentially. And he's been cut off. One thing I'll say, though, is for dystopian apartments, they really went all out. Because some of these places are gross.
Yeah.
And, like, the basement floor, which you end up exploring, is intimidating. It's very creepy. But it is where people are living, and it's like waist deep in muck. The rooms are just a mattress on the floor. It's super gross. And then you knock on the door, and it's like hookers who live down there. There's people who you just like. There's some terrified women who live down there, terrified of their boyfriends, who might be drug dealers and things like that. Again, that's the kind of stuff that you really want to get into. But it just gives that atmosphere that this is a bad place. Yeah. But as you move up, it gets to almost like idyllic as you move up the floors, and people are based on a ranking system. Of how they live, like Class C and Class B and all this kind of stuff.
Like Black Mirror, mate.
A little bit like Black Mirror, yeah.
Nice.
They are based on that kind of thing as to where they live, which just sets this atmosphere. Despite the fact this takes place in one building, the whole game, it really sets the scene for the entire city. Because they don't show the opulent living, but you kind of get the impression from the poor people of what that might be like.
Yeah.
Because you are dealing with the poor, and they're like, I wish I was like a class 1 or a Class A citizen, because they can go into that building. I can't go into that building, and imagine what it's like in there. And all that kind of stuff. And it runs side by side with a plague that affects electronics, like Johnny Mnemonic. The black shakes from Johnny Mnemonic.
Yep.
It's got this going on. So there's so much that's setting the scene here that I think they nailed the atmosphere.
Nice.
They truly nailed it, and I was immersed. I haven't been immersed in the game like this for quite a while, where I wanted to know what was going on.
I saw, and
the story was on its way.
I saw the clips, and just the little tidbits that I saw of the story, it looked really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Gameplay-wise, it is a point-and-click style stuff. It's first person, so you are wandering around the halls and stuff, which is great. That's what you want. And you're talking to people, you're figuring stuff out. It's not, action orientated or anything like that. It's about unfolding the story, solving the clues, putting the mystery together, and then trying to figure out where's your next step, what you might want to be looking for, and then working. There's a little bit of puzzle stuff in there, but nothing that's going to drive you crazy or anything like that. You're throwing a lever, you're doing that. But it's basically just such a cool little story that I recommend this game. The pros for me: atmosphere, world building. Done really well. Done super well. Interested in every character. And the big pro for me is all the characters having different motives, different personalities, different reasons for being involved, and how they tie together with these seemingly people who would never be together. Like, you wouldn't expect these two to work together forever, but then they tie it in together as like why these people are doing this. And there is good reason for it. It's not just like, oh, well, you know, they met each other at a cocktail party once and now they're bestest mates.
There's history.
Yeah, there's history. They don't like each other in many cases, but they have to work together towards this greater goal.
I'd say what I did like is when you were approaching a crime scene and there was a body, you would use your cybernetics to basically interface with kind of like a memory chip in their brain.
This is where it gets really weird. Okay, so gameplay-wise, it's point and click and stuff, but the type of cop you are allows you to enter the brain of another person with the plug. So you can kind of plug into somebody.
Yeah.
And you can relive their last moments, but it's very, very disjointed. It's like you're traveling through their memories, is what's happening there. You're traveling through their memories. And as you well know, memories can shift rather quickly. Like when you're thinking about stuff, you might jump to, oh, I remember meeting this guy, and then you'll jump to a time you were with that guy. And that really opens up the idea for infinite creativity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's just a memory you're going through, especially if it's somebody who might have died. Not to give spoilers away, is that it tells you you're not allowed to interface with people who've just died because that can ruin you. But maybe on occasion you might need to do that. And it gets very, very weird. But it's also how you remember certain things. Like a person who was bullying you, you might remember it as a monster. So that will manifest as a monster when you're traveling through their memories. You see that person as a monster. It's not really a monster. And that maybe, you know, and all this stuff is what pieces together. So it's a very... It gets very
out
weird.
there.
Yeah, it gets very, very strange. It gets very strange, but in a way that makes sense, and you're okay with it. And I know there was a few times we were watching and going like, this is just absolutely bananas. Yeah. But what a lot of fun it is at the same time. What a lot of fun it is, and it totally makes sense. So that the only downsides to me is, again, it's a little small. It is finishable in like an afternoon or something like that. But it's a relatively cheap indie game that you're going to just get some fun out of. And if this is your genre, boom.
Done.
Boom. Observer, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that was a minefield of emotions.
Value, total value. Was blown away. Was expecting some sort of indie. Usually these games, if they've got a lot of polished graphics, which this does, it's about it's about 2 hours worth of play. You know what I mean? But all the vibes from games like Soma were in there. But I much preferred this to Soma. In fact, Soma dragged a little bit for me. I think we covered it a while ago. This one did not drag at all. Was on point all the time. Tied up all the endings. Lots of endings in the game, by the way. Lots and lots. Yeah. Multiple endings that you can be checking out. Lots of twists that all connected nicely. Yeah, it took us in different directions the whole way through the game, and then by the end, it all came together. It was tied up nicely.
I kind of tuned in, and I could see certain points in the game where it would alter the ending as well.
Yeah, very obvious points where you go, if I do this. But the game is actually quite explicit about it. It's like, if you do this, it's definitely not something that you're going to be able to go back and change after. I would criticise, one point is that they have these things that are through the game, and it's a long way to get there. We did it in about 6 hours from start to finish. That you can't jump back to see the other endings. You have to replay the whole game.
It's one save file.
It's one save file, so you can only click new game. You can't seemingly pick chapters, which kind of sucks. And the way they try and drag you through the game again is with collectibles, but I'll be honest, I looked in a lot of places. I didn't leave much unexplored and only got 15 out of 70 collectibles. So wherever those are, I'm just not sure what to do there. So other than that, like, if you think about Bioshock or something, you can save at a certain point and then you can continue on from there. That would be my only criticism, really, is that I would like an easier way to see what the other endings are. Because I'm interested. I don't really want to do 6 hours, although I could speedrun it now, I suppose. I don't want to do, even a few hours just to check the last couple of minutes of cutscene and stuff like that. That'd be my only criticism. But other than that, if you're into your spoopy, mind-fudging...
It was even fun to watch, I've got to admit. It was
very enjoyable. And more enjoyable to play. So check that out. And if not, if you're into some multiplayer action with your friends for free, check out Dreadnought.
Big shit.
It's that last mate swap was on Dreadnought, so go check that out as well. But thank you so much for watching. The VOD obviously will be linked down below. If you just want to check it out and see a longer play of the game, you can see that.
I check every time.
Bye, everybody.
Action, mate, that's all we get.
Yeah, that's it, pretty much. This whole game is about building a fleet of ships to yourself.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of ships. Holy crap, do they have a lot of ships. But
They do,
they're
mate.
balanced across the factions, though.
They are.
They tend to be pretty much the same thing.
Well, that's it. It feels like the factions are basically just how the ships look, because you do get access to all classes of ships in each faction.
Yeah,
It's just
lots
the way
of
that you
tiers
want
of
it.
ships,
Yeah.
which comes down to the game mode, which is not surprising for this style of game, actually, is they're going for the free-to-play model, where you can invest, if you want to invest money and you like the game, it's going to be for like XP or